What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Front Range Aquascapes. This week, like I said last week, we're going to go ahead and set up and repurpose the 5 gallon here to hold some plants that I've already got a couple started in here, but they're not laid out very well. So we're going to go ahead and lay them out better. And then if you look over in here, you can probably see that I have some cuttings from the 54-gallon main tank out in the living room that I'm going to go ahead and get started in here. And so one of these weeks I will go ahead and do an in-depth tour of all of the existing tanks. There's really only one. The other one is basically just a holding tank for floating plants and ram's horn snails. But we do have a 54-gallon heavily planted tank out in the living room that I'll give you a tour of one of these days. But for now, let me get set up and we'll go ahead and get started cleaning this 5 gallon out and getting it ready to plant. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get that pot of crypts out of the way, and then I'm going to go ahead and vacuum up a bunch of that mulm and stuff that is down there and just get this ready to clean up and start planting. So follow along. Alright, so I've got a significant amount of the water, well, not a significant amount, but about a gallon pulled out of the tank. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start pulling plants out and see what we have in there. As you can tell, after pulling out everything, it stirred up a whole bunch more crap. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out some more water and give this filter material a good rinsing. And then we'll go ahead and put a little bit of clean water in and we'll start planting these plants back in. Alright, so while we let the tank clear up just a little bit from all of that crap that we stirred up, I'm going to go ahead and start prepping these plants. What I've done is I've just laid a wet paper towel or two over them. And I'm just Alright, so what we ended up with, and I'm hoping that you're going to be able to see all of this, but we ended up with, I don't know, a couple of strings of moss, a little bit of pearlweed, which I'm going to go ahead and put in the 15-gallon tank. This appears to be, yeah, I think that this is Anubias Nana Petite, but it looks like it was almost dead, but it's starting to come back. So it's either Anubias or maybe, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not the greatest with plants. I know it's an epithite or epitite or however the hell you pronounce that. So I'm guessing it's either Anubias or maybe like a Bucephalandra or something. And then I've got 2 big things of Java Fern Then I've got three small cutting, or not cuttings, but these were the babies from my Echinodorus ocelot out in the living room. So I've got three of them. And then there is this massive water wisteria. And I'm going to leave it like this for right now. But eventually I'll be able to cut all of these different branches off and they'll be their own individual plants. As well as the fact that I can cut them in half and plant them in the substrate, and the part that I cut will root. I'm just pulling moss out of the roots. And see, there's a piece that broke off that's already rooted and ready to go. And then there's this other piece that I pulled out. And I actually think that I'm going to go ahead and start trimming this now, trimming this down now so that I can go ahead and plant it in as a little patch, but like I'll have more usable. And then I've got my pot of crypts here, and they're in rock wool, and I've got a root tab in there with them. And then I pulled out a few more crypts that need to go in that pot. Now that we've gone ahead and let the tank clear up quite a bit, we're going to go ahead and start planting the stem plants in at the back. Again, like I said, this is just going to be a temporary plant storage. And I'll show you a sneak peek here at the end of this video to show that it's going to be a very temporary plant storage indeed. So we're going to go in with water wisteria. Alright, so there's the stem plants, kind of sort of where they're going to be. A lot of them were bent from where they were growing sideways because they were so tall in this little bitty tank. So they should go ahead and straighten out and start reaching towards the light. Excuse me, start reaching towards the light. But I'm just going to go ahead and kind of prop them up a little bit if I can. Because now I've got some Hygrophila coriumbosa cuttings that will be going in here right in front of those. Alright, and now I'm going to take the Java fern that is attached to rock. Alright, next up is going to be the three little Echinodorus ocelots that I have. And like, yeah, maybe I'm going a little extra here, but just because it's plant storage doesn't mean that it can't be visually appealing at the same time. Right? So. And here comes the pot of crypts. We'll just stick it right here. It's going to shadow out some of the other plants, but they should be fine. Because again, like I said, this is not a long-term storage by any means. This is going to be a very, very short-term storage. Here's a single little crypt that was running around. So, go ahead and get that. Put right there. And I believe that we are done here. Well, just about. I'm going to go ahead and get the filter hooked back up. And I'll check back in with y'all here in just a few minutes. It's the next day. I went ahead and let the water clear up overnight. And here's just what I was showing. Just basically a very simple yet clean. I mean, your plant storage doesn't have to be all cluttered and haphazard. Like, you can make it pretty and have a decent layout to it. And I mean, this is just in a 5-gallon tank. Yes, it is using plant substrate, which I would definitely recommend. But I'm using a cheap Marineland light. And as you can see, I've got the water wisteria. There's some scarlet temple back there. Then I've got the Hygrophila coriambosa. Then I've got my 3 little Echinodorus ocelots. Then I have my different types of crypts. You can also see a piece of Sterigine repens stuck on the crypts right now. And that's because the Sterigine repens did not stay in the substrate. So I will get those planted into another tank here pretty quick. In fact, all of these plants are going into another tank pretty quickly. Then I've got my rock with Java fern on it. I've got a rock with some moss glued to it. A small rock with some small pieces of Java fern. And then another rock with big pieces of Java fern. So there it is. This is going to be a quick video. Again, just wanted to show you that it doesn't have to be fancy or expensive to work. And here's an update, just a real quick update on the 15-gallon boulder field that we set up last week. As you can see, there's starting to be a little bit of algae growth on the rock. And I'm probably going to get in there with a toothbrush and clean that up. I kind of like it, but it just means that I have my light on for too long. So I'll go ahead and turn the light off at a more reasonable time. I have been running it at 75% power on the light. This tank is using a Haiger LED light. But I've been running it at 75% for 12 hours. So I may either play with the intensity, maybe turn it down to like 50% for 10 or 12 hours. Or I may just do 75% at 6 to 8 hours. Because this is currently 75%. I don't know how well the camera is going to pick this up, but that's 50. That's 25. That's 10%. And of course the camera is going to make it look way brighter than it really is. But there's back up to 25. There's 50. 75. And 100, and 100 is just entirely too bright. So, like I said, I'm going to play with light settings. Alright, and there you go. That is this episode of Front Range Aquascaping. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, this one was a little bit of a different video. Next week is honestly going to be even more different. It's going to be setting up a new fish room because, so as you can see, I picked up a good number of used 10 gallons. I paid $30 for 4 10-gallon tanks, an entire box of scaping stones, and not shown is a 55-gallon tank that needs to be resealed. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut it down to 40 gallons and then reseal it and brace it so that I can have a rimless 40 breeder. But that's to come. Thank you again for watching. If you enjoyed it, you know what to do. Typical YouTube stuff. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Thank you again. I'll talk to you guys next time.